For me, you get up into the seven figures, and then you're starting to have a real problem.
Between a rock and a hard place, the city councilman speaks out on the tentative deal with the mayor. The entire council will consider tomorrow.
The letters were from like a year ago when me and my mom weren't getting along very well.
Setting the record straight, Hannah Anderson explains the nature of her relationship with James DiMaggio during her first public interview. And massive wildfire, the latest on the blaze burning near Yosemite National Park. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Jim Patton. In just 15 hours, the San Diego City Council will consider the tentative deal reached with the mayor. And sources tell San Diego 6 the mayor's resignation is on the table, but at what cost? Jeff Powers tonight with the real tough choice that is facing elected officials.
Much of the speculation cannot be confirmed until the council is able to meet in closed session tomorrow.
Council President Todd Gloria and City Councilman Kevin Faulconer will deliver the mediated deal to their colleagues Friday.
I expect us to have a full vetting to really consider the agreement and then take a vote.
5 of the 9 City Council members must agree to the deal. Whatever the vote is, it will immediately be made public.
For me, you get up into the seven figures, and then you're starting to have a real problem.
City Councilman Scott Sherman is concerned about the dollars of the deal and that any agreement with Mayor Filner could cost taxpayers more than $1 million.
The joys of leadership, right? I'm being stuck in a no-win position. One way or the other, I'm going to make some people mad, whichever way we go.
Friday, the City Council can immediately remove the mayor, but possibly put the city on the financial hook. Mayor Filner's got to go! Or they can look to the recall effort, but that too has its concerns.
Worst case scenario is, what if the recall doesn't come to fruition? If that doesn't work and we go down that route, then that means Bob Filner stays in office and keeps doing damage in perpetuity. The sooner we can get the mayor out of office, however we do that, the better it is for San Diego.
At City Hall, Jeff Powers, San Diego 6 News.
And the attorney representing Filner's first accuser is urging council members to vote carefully. San Diego 6's Derek Stahl explains why anything less than unconditional surrender is unacceptable. For attorney Gloria Allred. Derek.
Good evening. Allred says this tentative agreement doesn't settle her sexual harassment lawsuit, and she isn't even aware of the terms. But she says it's critical the city council doesn't approve the mayor's resignation at the expense of taxpayers. And one of Filner's former confidants agrees.
Mayor Filner, are you going to resign?
Mayor Bob Filner's tenure could soon be over, something his ex-fiancée says is the best way forward for the city.
I'm hopeful that the settlement agreement between Bob and the city of San Diego will include resignation and begin to bring closure to this painful chapter for all of those involved.
Bronwyn Ingram and attorney Gloria Allred say any settlement agreement should not include any financial considerations for Filner.
If the deal requires that the city council pay him $1, then I, for one, think that they should vote against it.
Allred says paying for the mayor's attorney's fees or covering some or all of his legal liability would be a callous and unholy agreement. She's representing Irene McCormick Jackson, the mayor's former communications director, who has filed the only sexual harassment lawsuit against him.
It would be a slap in the face to the mayor's many victims to see him get anything from the city of San Diego. His parting gift should be good riddance instead of a handout.
Filner's financial statements show he's well off, but it's unclear if he could mount a lengthy legal battle on his own. Allred isn't sympathetic.
I would think that's his problem, not mine.
She's encouraging the public to sound off during the city council's open session before council members vote on the deal.
There should be no payoff for Mayor Filner.
Now, while Allred says taxpayers should not foot the mayor's legal liability, her lawsuit targets both Filner and the city, and it seeks unspecified damages. In studio, Derek Stahl, San Diego 6 News.
And Mayor Bob Filner may still have a chance to hold on to his job longer than some expect. San Diego 6's Rick Boone joins us live from City Hall with why tomorrow might not be Filner's last day in office. Rick.
That's right, Jim. This is not a done deal yet, and if Mayor Filner does decide to resign tomorrow, he still may be able to hold on to his job a little bit longer.
It's not a up or down vote.
Attorney Mike Aguirre says when the city council goes into closed session Friday afternoon to consider a deal for the mayor's exit, it won't be easy.
They can send it back and say, we want this, we want to change this or change that, or, you know, and that process it's not unusual.
And Aguirre has unique insight considering he was in the middle of a similar process before. He was city attorney from 2004 to 2008 when Mayor Dick Murphy abruptly stepped down amid the crisis over the city's pension deficit.
Once he was identified by Time magazine as one of the worst mayors in America, you know, the same thing happened. And then he resigned.
Aguirre believes that one of the biggest headaches for present council members as they deal with Filner will be their own political futures.
When those politicians are sitting there, they're going to have to ask themselves, when I run for office next time, is this going to be used against me?
And even if council does approve a deal that includes the mayor's resignation, Aguirre says it doesn't mean Filner will be stripped of power immediately.
There'll be some date set for the resignation. It might not be immediately. It may be in a week, 2 weeks, something like that.
And council will take that vote after public comment that starts at 1 p.m. Just ahead, what will the folks at Recall Bob Filner do if the mayor resigns? I'll tell you what they told me coming up in just a bit. We're live at Civic Center Plaza. Rick Boone, San Diego 6 News.
All right, Rick, look forward to that. Thank you, sir. Michael Palomari, chair of the Recall Bob Filner campaign, issued the following statement regarding this tentative deal. The effort to qualify a recall to remove Bob Filner from office will continue unabated in its strength of purpose and momentum until a resignation has been tendered. More than 1,200 volunteers have donated their time, energy, and passion to this movement. The Filner battle, which has gained national media attention, has been ongoing now for more than 6 weeks. With an end to the controversy possibly in sight, we wanted to know what you think. Should the council vote to approve this deal, even if it means a financial payoff for Bob Filner? Or should the recall process be allowed to continue? The discussion underway on our Facebook page. Bob says no taxpayers' money, no county money should be spent to get him out of his own mess. If the deal they worked out involves any type of payout, it needs to be voted down. We are not at fault. He is. D says he has already cost the city tons of money and embarrassment. Considering the costs he has incurred and the cost for a special election, he doesn't deserve any compensation. I say let the recall continue so he knows how much he screwed up. I would be highly disappointed if the council approves any compensation to him. And the discussion continues on our San Diego 6 Facebook page. The driver of a tour bus carrying gamblers to an Indian casino in east of Los Angeles made an unsafe lane change, causing a crash that injured more than 50 people on board. According to the CHP, the bus struck a car to its left, overcorrected to the right, and ultimately went through a chain link fence off the side of Interstate 210 about 10 o'clock this morning. Bus came to rest on its side down a dirt embankment between the freeway and railroad tracks in Irwindale, about 20 miles east of downtown Los Angeles. 52 people, mostly elderly, were hurt in the rollover with minor injuries. CHP says the bus was equipped with seat belts, which may account for the lack of life-threatening injuries. Well, a small earthquake centered about 5 miles southeast Temecula hit just before 6:30 this morning. Quake struck southwestern Riverside County and was also felt as far south as Escondido in northern San Diego County. No damage or injuries reported in any areas as a result of the quake. U.S. Geological Survey reported the earthquake with a preliminary magnitude of 3.6. Raging wildfire has scorched more than 60,000 acres and is threatening more than 1,300 homes near Yosemite National Park. Flames can be seen shooting hundreds of feet into the air as the rim fire continues to burn out of control. Firefighters have only managed to establish about 1% containment. Fire started Saturday and has grown to more than 84 square miles. Tonight, Governor Jerry Brown has issued a state of emergency for this fire. The park remains open, and Yosemite Valley is said to have clear air, but officials are telling visitors and residents in areas outside the park to leave, where the air quality is poor. Time now to check in with meteorologist Serena Fine. Hi, Sabrina.
Hello, Jim. Hello to you at home. It was a beautiful sight if you were looking further out over to the east this evening. This image captured from Point Loma from San Diego viewer Ryan Lukey got to see a lot of the cumulus clouds develop, and look at that. lightning strikes. 4 thunderstorms were reported between Thermal and Mount Laguna, also prompting a flash flood warning right near Ocotillo Wells. The radar from the last 3 hours showing you things have dramatically quieted down. We saw a little bit of that rainfall and producing about 1 3/4 inch of rainfall to 2 inches out into our local deserts. We are looking at getting even more rain, but in the meantime, that storm system brought some heavy winds, and with it a blowing dust advisory is up at least until midnight for the desert communities, dropping visibility 1/4 to 3/4 of a mile, affecting I-10 and I-8. That's going to be for about another 2 hours. Waking up tomorrow morning, we're going to be dealing along the coastline with a very thin marine layer. Mostly sunny skies developing already by noon. Temperatures staying near seasonal, 75 degrees by 5 o'clock, going for 77. The dry, warm air that we have along the coast and inland areas, not going to last long. Coming up, we'll have details on a tropical surge of moisture coming our way. Jim?
All right, lots to talk about. We'll see you in just a bit. Straight ahead, Hannah Anderson gives her first public interview and clarifies the nature of her relationship with James DiMaggio. Paying more for power when your SDG&E bill is set to rise, and how big an increase you could see.
San Diego 6 News at 10.
It's her first television interview since she was freed following an alleged kidnapping earlier this month. And in it, Hannah Anderson describes herself as a survivor and thanks her supporters. Emily Schmidt has more.
Hannah Anderson spoke publicly to NBC for the first time about her kidnapping and rescue.
In the beginning, I was a victim, but now, knowing everyone out there is helping me, I consider myself a survivor instead.
It was August 4th when Hannah was allegedly kidnapped by family friend James DiMaggio. Police would later find the bodies of her mother and brother at DiMaggio's burned home. In the interview, Hannah responded to questions about why she exchanged as many as 13 text messages with DiMaggio on the day of the kidnapping.
They were texts because he was picking me up from cheer camp and he didn't know the address or where I was, so I had to tell him the address and tell him that I was going to be in the gym and not in front of the school.
She also explained why she had sent him letters.
The letters were from like a year ago when me and my mom weren't getting along very well. Me and him would talk about how to deal with it, and I'd tell him how I felt about it, and he'd help me through it. They weren't anything bad. They were just to help me through tough times.
Nearly a week after the alleged kidnapping, horseback riders in the Idaho wilderness spotted Hannah and DiMaggio. DiMaggio was ultimately killed by an FBI agent, and Hannah returned to her family in Southern California.
I wanted to thank the horsemen and the Amber Alert and the sheriff and the FBI, with everyone that put in their time to find me.
I'm Emily Schmidt reporting.
This weekend, the funeral will be held for Hannah's mother and brother, Christina and Ethan Anderson. The service is being held at the Guardian Angels Church in Santee on Saturday, and it is open to the public. Your gas and electric rates are going to be going up September 1st, and for some customers, that could be an increase as much as 12%. San Diego Gas and Electric was granted a rate increase by the California Public Utilities Commission earlier this year. Power company says the rate increase goes to pay for operating expenses so it can deliver power to its customers. The company says it will not increase profits for SDG&E. A San Diego resident was recently robbed at gunpoint while looking to buy a cell phone on Craigslist. Local authorities are now issuing some important tips to keep online buyers and sellers safe. Always try to meet during the day and in a public place, and take another person along with you. Another important tip, be sure to take a cell phone with you to call 911 in an emergency, and never take large amounts of cash. Also, if the price appears to be too good, it probably is, so take a pass. And finally, remember to follow your instincts, and if anything seems out of place or suspicious, just leave. Well, San Diego is on its way to becoming a world-class biking city. Government officials want to get your input on how to make that happen. 200 new bike racks will be in place by the end of the year. If you have suggestions on where they should go, they want to hear from you. Bike sharing is expected to start next spring. City officials want to get your thoughts. The public has 60 days to provide input on suggested locations. Of course, many bike lanes and routes are already in place. All right, let's check in once again with meteorologist Serena Fine in the city where it is great to go biking almost every day.
As long as you put on a lot of sunblock, because it was very, very warm today as a result of plenty of sunshine. Everyone was really soaking it on in. Pretty soon, though, instead of soaking in sunshine, we'll be soaking in a lot of rainfall. That change coming our way by Sunday. Until then, though, temperatures have been close to average. In Escondido, going 92 degrees. I'd forecast inland communities 90, so just off by around 2. This evening, only a few clouds outside. You can see the temperatures exactly where they were 24 hours ago at 70 degrees. Winds are about 3 miles per hour. They were gusty today, up to 20 miles per hour, and that is going to stay with us for the next 2 days. But those winds are pulling in some of this heat as well as some dry air. We have this area of high pressure still further out over to our south and west, and that's what's now our dominant feature with the clockwise flow. Currently, it's pulling in our winds for the most part out of the southwest. Right now, not a lot of activity out there. Instead, mostly clear skies. And so that's what we're going to have in place at least for 2 days. But then get ready for some of that rainfall. Taking a look at your forecast for you, we're going to notice starting you out with maybe a few thin clouds along the coastline tomorrow morning on Friday. Watch what happens as we head through about Sunday. You'll see an area of green coming on in right around noon. Most of the activity going to be out over toward the mountain and desert communities where they can pick up, I'd say, about a ½ inch to 3/4 inch. Right now, it looks like the coast and inland communities only a few hundredths of an inch to 1/4 inch. It's not done just throughout the afternoon, staying with you through the evening at 8 o'clock. And now look what's happened when we put the energy into place. This is the instability that we need for some of those thunderstorms to begin to form. The area shaded in red is where we have a lot of that. Once again, covering our mountain and desert communities. It's not just this weekend. We're going to fast forward this into next weekend. So if you have those plans, you're trying to figure out a barbecue with the family, what day's best to do it. Here is not this Saturday, next Saturday. Another tropical disturbance will be moving up throughout Baja. Right now, models think that's going to go toward Imperial County, but bringing them about 2 inches of rainfall. It is days away, and if anything happens and the system decides to shift a little bit further out to the west, we could be the ones seeing those 2 inches of rain. So still something we're watching, but definitely a concern. We do need rainfall. Our deficit now about 3 7/10. Surfing, port affair conditions, your swell out of the south 1 to 2 feet, occasionally getting up to 3 feet. Water temperature now 65 to 69 degrees. 7-day forecast, 78 degrees on Friday. You'll see 77 Saturday with that chance of rain Sunday on into Monday. Inland 92 degrees. Your temperatures fall to 90 on Sunday and then the upper 80s on Monday. Those days will be the wet ones. Mountains 90 degrees. Clouds pop up tomorrow. You'll see a chance of thunderstorms Sunday and Monday. The desert's 109 degrees, tumbling to 96 degrees on Sunday because of the wetness. That's a look at your 7-day forecast. Jim, back to you.
So the big rain system still deciding exactly where it wants to go.
Well, we have one. We know the first one. That's going to be on Sunday. It's now a new one that's going to be next weekend.
Gotcha. All right. Sabrina, thank you very much. Rumors swirling. A new iPhone could debut in a few weeks. Experts say trading in your old phone now could earn you some big bucks. Find out just how much. When Obamacare begins on January 1st, most Americans won't pay full price to buy into the insurance plan. That's because of subsidies from the federal government that give low to moderate income Americans a break on their premiums. Any individual earning up to $46,000 a year or $94,000 for a family of 4 will be eligible for some sort of discount. The lower your income, the more of a discount you'll get. Enrollment efforts in the program will focus on California, New York, and Florida, where about 15 million of the 45 million uninsured Americans live. Number of Americans seeking first-time unemployment benefits rose by 13,000 last week, but the overall job numbers remain relatively steady with some solid gains. Labor Department says the 4-week average, in fact, fell for the 6th week in a row, which is the lowest it's been since November 2007. The 4-week average has fallen about 5% in the past month. Well, looking for a quick way to make a quick buck? Your old iPhone might be worth a few $100s. Apple is expected to debut a new iPhone called the iPhone C next month. It will reportedly have a fingerprint sensor and come in the color gold. Gazelle, the online trade-in service, is paying about $300 for a 16-gigabyte AT&T iPhone that is still in good condition. However, the sooner you make the trade, the better. The trade-in deal is expected to drop gradually over the next few weeks. More families are putting money away for college, but as tuition rises, most parents are still falling painfully short of their savings goal. A new Fidelity survey finds a record 69% of families have started saving for college, and most have about $5,000 put aside, but that's only about a third of what most want to save. As a result, more than half of the families surveyed worry that their kids will have to compromise on the quality when choosing a college. Straight ahead, don't mess with mama, especially when she's a large moose. Look at how she handled some humans when they got too close. Whoa. Well, what is a driver to do when a moose hogs the road in the middle of nowhere? If you're like these guys, you give it plenty of time and space, but even that wasn't enough.
Outdoor rider Bernie Behringer and a buddy were heading back to their campground in British Columbia when they came upon the mama moose and her kids. At first it was a simple standoff, but the moose clearly felt threatened and charged at the men's truck several times, even hitting it once. The entire encounter lasted about 15 minutes as the moose followed the truck down the road for about 2 miles.
Now I realize the script says that the moose followed the truck, but obviously from this vantage point, it's the truck that is following the moose and appears to be harassing the moose, no?
I agree with you. I think then the moose gets a little upset. So maybe we catch it at a different angle. Maybe we're seeing it before there was an attack, and then after the attack, the moose decided to follow along the truck. You get it?
We need to argue this out in court, I think.
Well, I mean, someone has to pay for the damage to the truck, right? How much money does a moose make? All right, we're taking a look at your forecast for tomorrow. If you're heading out to the Cubs game, 74 degrees by first pitch. It will be a little bit gusty. Winds are going to stay with us for the next 2 days and then drawing up even more moisture. Find out how much precipitation in the next 7 days.
Also, when we come back, which way to vote, that is likely weighing on the minds of 9 city council members tonight. The mayor's resignation is on the table, but at what cost? We'll be right back.
San Diego 6 News at 10.
Welcome back. Which way to vote? That is likely weighing on the minds of 9 city council members tonight. The mayor's resignation on the table, but at what cost? Council President Todd Gloria and City Councilman Kevin Faulkner are set to deliver the mediated deal to their colleagues tomorrow. 5 of the 9 city council members must agree to the deal. City Councilman Scott Sherman, concerned about the dollars that could be involved, he told San Diego 6 that any agreement with Mayor Filner will likely cost taxpayers 7 figures.
The joys of leadership, right? I'm being stuck in a no-win position. One way or the other, I'm going to make some people mad, whichever way we go.
Sherman says if a deal is not reached tomorrow, the city would be forced to rely on the recall, which he says could raise other issues. In order for a recall to be successful, volunteers need to gather nearly 102,000 signatures, and there is no guarantee they will be able to do that. The attorney representing Filner's first accuser is urging council members to vote carefully tomorrow. San Diego 6's Derek Stahl explains why anything less than unconditional surrender is unacceptable for attorney Gloria Allred. Derek.
Good evening. Allred says this tentative agreement doesn't settle her sexual harassment lawsuit, and she isn't even aware of the terms. But she says it's critical the city council doesn't approve the mayor's resignation at the expense of taxpayers. And one of Filner's former confidants agrees.
Mayor Filner, are you going to resign?
Mayor Bob Filner's tenure could soon be over, something his ex-fiancée says is the best way forward for the city.
I'm hopeful that the settlement agreement between Bob and the city of San Diego will include resignation and begin to bring closure to this painful chapter for all of those involved.
Bronwyn Ingram and attorney Gloria Allred say any settlement agreement should not include any financial considerations for Filner.
If the deal requires that the city council pay him $1, then I, for one, think that they should vote against it.
Allred says paying for the mayor's attorney's fees or covering some or all of his legal liability would be a callous and unholy agreement. She's representing Irene McCormick Jackson, the mayor's former communications director, who has filed the only sexual harassment lawsuit against him.
It would be a slap in the face to the mayor's many victims to see him get anything from the city of San Diego. His parting gift should be good riddance instead of a handout.
Filner's financial statements show he's well off, but it's unclear if he could mount a lengthy legal battle on his own. Allred isn't sympathetic.
I would think that's his problem, not mine.
She's encouraging the public to sound off during the City Council's open session before council members vote on the deal.
There should be no payoff for Mayor Filner.
Now, while Allred says taxpayers should not foot the mayor's legal liability, her lawsuit targets both Filner and the city, and it seeks unspecified damages. In studio, Derek Stahl, San Diego 6 News.
And Mayor Bob Filner may still have a chance to hold on to his job longer than some expect. San Diego 6's Rick Boone joins us live from City Hall with why tomorrow may not be Filner's last day in office. Rick.
Yeah, there's no done deal yet, and even if the mayor does resign, he may stay in office for a little while.
It's not a up or down vote.
Attorney Micah Geary says when the city council goes into closed session Friday afternoon to consider a deal for the mayor's exit, it won't be easy.
They can send it back and say, we want this, we want to change this or change that, or, you know, and that process it's not unusual.
Anna Geary has unique insight considering he was in the middle of a similar process before. He was city attorney from 2004 to 2008 when Mayor Dick Murphy abruptly stepped down amid the crisis over the city's pension deficit.
Once he was identified by Time magazine as one of the worst mayors in America, you know, the same thing happened. And then he resigned.
Geary believes that one of the biggest headaches for present council members as they deal with Filner will be their own political futures.
When those politicians are sitting there, they're going to have to ask themselves, when I run for office next time, is this going to be used against me?
And even if council does approve a deal that includes the mayor's resignation, Geary says it doesn't mean Filner will be stripped of power immediately.
There'll be some date set for the resignation. It might not be immediately. It may be in a week, 2 weeks, something like that.
And I talked to the folks over at Recall Bob Filner. I asked them whether or not they would stop their effort if the mayor does resign tomorrow. They says, oh no, they're still going to continue to collect signatures and will do that until the mayor drops off his keys at the front desk and leaves City Hall for good. We're live at Civic Center Plaza. Rick Boone, San Diego 6 News.
Rick, thank you so much. Well, some have admonished Congressman Scott Peters for not calling on Mayor Bob Filner to step down, but Peters tells San Diego 6 he did that even before the scandal became public.
I called Mayor Filner right when this was about to break because I had some phone calls about what was going to happen. I told him he should resign, he should step down, we could do it with dignity and avoid having all these women to come forward and go through all this painful experience.
Congressman also issued a written statement during the first week of the scandal asking the mayor to resign. As for the damage Filner may be causing to the Democratic Party.
But it's not a Democratic issue. And this is something that's an individual misbehavior, very much like Duke Cunningham was not a Republican issue. He misbehaved, and that doesn't tarnish the Republicans.
Congressman Peters says he is optimistic about the tentative deal reached with the mayor. He says the mediator, retired Judge J. Lawrence Irving, is highly respected, and he's sure they've come up with something fair for the council to consider. Well, hard to believe, but reports are surfacing that Mayor Filner is leaning towards writing a tell-all book about the sexual harassment scandal. Sources say Filner was recently approached about writing a book, and now, with a possible resignation looming, he might consider it. According to our media partners 10 News, Filner is mulling over the idea with no official deal on the table. Political experts say a decision for the disgraced mayor to write a tell-all would not be a surprising one. If Filner does write a career-spanning memoir, he will have some 4 decades of political experiences to draw on. A man sentenced to 35 years in prison for sending classified material to WikiLeaks wants to live the rest of his life as a woman. Bradley Manning made the announcement this morning via a statement on NBC's Today Show. Manning says he wants to begin hormone replacement therapy for gender reassignment and wants to be called Chelsea. This comes a day after a military judge sentenced him. Manning struggled with gender identity disorder. His sense that he was a woman trapped in a man's body was a key part of his defense. A grand jury indicted former NFL player Aaron Hernandez on a first-degree murder charge today. Hernandez appeared in court to hear an announcement of the indictment. Hernandez is charged with murdering Odin Lloyd, whose body was found in an industrial park near Hernandez's home. The former New England Patriots tight end was arrested June 26th. Hernandez has pleaded not guilty to 5 weapons charges. Military jurors did not reach a verdict against the soldier on trial for the 2009 shooting rampage at Fort Hood. Major Nadal Hassan is accused of killing 13 people and wounding 30 others at the Texas military base. The case was given to jurors this afternoon. They deliberated for about 3 hours before asking the judge if they could review testimony from the Fort Hood police officer who shot the gunman and ended the rampage. The judge agreed, and then she dismissed the jurors for the night. Deliberations are scheduled to resume Friday morning. Hassan is acting as his own attorney but has put up virtually no defense. If convicted, Hassan could face the death penalty. Former Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak has left prison, but the U.S. State Department says that's not a matter that they are involved in. Today, Egyptian state TV reported he was transferred to a military hospital. He'll be under a house arrest there. At today's State Department briefing, spokeswoman Jen Psaki had little to say on the matter.
With respect to the Mubarak trial and decisions made, this is an internal Egyptian legal matter that it's working its way through the Egyptian legal system. Beyond that, I don't have more for you. I refer you to the Egyptian government.
Egypt's military issued an order to place the former president on house arrest while he awaits a retrial. Mubarak is facing charges of inciting violence against protesters during the 2011 uprisings. Syrian government troops continue a tense standoff with rebels in Damascus as the UN is calling for a temporary stop to the fighting. U.S., Britain, and France have demanded that a team of UN experts already in the country be granted immediate access to investigate the site of a chemical weapons attack earlier this week. The death toll in that attack ranges from 136 to 1,300 as the government and rebels are each claiming different numbers. Well, talking down a gunman, hear from the heroic school administrator who convinced the man threatening to shoot children to put down his gun. And catching a massive bull shark off the coast of Maryland, just how big the creature was and how close to shore.
Good evening, meteorologist Serena. Newly developed Tropical Depression 9 in the Pacific, forecasted to become a tropical storm tomorrow, and it's traveling north. Find out how it may affect us coming up on the flip side of the break.
Also, amazing video as trees in Louisiana bayou topple and get sucked underwater. What caused this surreal scene? We'll take a look at this incredible video out of Louisiana. Cameras set up by a state agency monitoring the situation caught this sinkhole as it swallowed a group of trees just west of New Orleans. And you can see them slowly sink into the ground. The sinkhole appeared last year, prompting a mandatory evacuation. Since then, it has grown to nearly 30 times its original size, and it may have been started by the drilling of a well. Heroic moment for an elementary school clerk in Georgia as she talks down a man armed with an assault rifle who was threatening the kids and staff. Andrew Spencer has more on how she convinced the gunman to surrender.
I'm in the front office. Oh, he just went outside and started shooting. Oh, can I run?
But Antoinette Tuff didn't run. Instead, she stayed inside the front office of the Atlanta area elementary school where she works and passed the gunman's orders to a 911 dispatcher.
He said he don't care if he died, he don't have nothing to live for.
Tell me why he wanted a TV camera to come out there to the school.
Because he was going to end his life and take all the cops and everybody with him.
That's what he said?
Yeah.
With the students on lockdown, police and parents fearing the worst, Tuff talked to the gunman about his problems and about hers.
Well, don't feel bad, baby. My husband just left me after 33 years.
I realized at that time that it was bigger than me. He was really a hurting young man, so I just started praying for him.
I can help you. Want me to try? You want to talk to them? Want me to talk to them?
And she finally helped convince the gunman, whom police identify as 20-year-old Michael Hill, to surrender peacefully.
We're not gonna hate you, baby. It's a good thing that you giving up. So we're not gonna hate you.
Still on the phone with the dispatcher, Tuff kept Hill calm as he lay on the floor, waiting for the police to come inside.
Okay, he just got his phone. That's all he got is his phone. I'm telling you something, babe. I ain't never been so scared all days of my life. Me either. But you did great. Woo, Jesus. You did great.
I'm Andrew Spencer reporting.
A German tourist who was bitten by a shark last week while vacationing in Hawaii has died. Jana Luderap's right arm was severed just below her shoulder. Her mother and sisters say that Jana fought hard to stay alive, but a week after losing her arm, she lost her life in a hospital in Maui. Shark attack happened as Luderap was snorkeling some 50 yards off the island of Maui. Loved ones described her as a very beautiful young woman who was always laughing. Well, some fishermen in Maryland have quite a fish tale to tell. They caught a massive bull shark in the waters off of Chesapeake Bay, and they showed off their catch to Brad Bell.
Watermen Richard Ritchie and Greg Dean need a forklift to show off their catch.
Well, they're big.
8-year-old Nicholas isn't kidding. The bull sharks are more than 8 feet long and more than 200 pounds with mouths full of teeth. Richie and Dean have a huge fish trap called a pound net in the Potomac. They mostly catch bait for crabbers.
As we pulled up to the net, we started to pull it up, and there they were.
One bull shark had already drowned from being in a net, but the other sprang to life, creating a gonna need a bigger boat moment.
Maybe we bit off more than we could chew right this minute.
Now here's the thing about their net. It is just offshore from the popular swimming beach at Point Lookout State Park.
It's close enough for a shark to swim over there and bite somebody.
State biologists point out that bull sharks turn up in the bay and its rivers every year. There has also never been a recorded shark attack in Maryland history. The fishermen say they only know what they see.
I think there's more here than any of us realize.
All right, we've been talking about rain in the forecast. Meteorologist Serena Fines standing by with a look.
Who can focus on rain when we just saw sharks that big? Did you notice how big their eyes were?
I say I want to be able to sleep tonight, so I just switched the subject.
Okay, I'll go along with it then. Inland areas, no clouds here, that is for sure, throughout the afternoon hours. We tried to see a few of them pop up out over toward the mountains. This pattern will continue for us at least for 2 more days, and then we have some tropical moisture in place. For us today, we are dealing with pleasant temperatures, 79 degrees above average in San Diego, typically right about 77. This is going to stay with us for the next 2 days. You'll notice things fairly comfortable, dry, beautiful sunshine. This evening, good evening, La Mesa at 71 degrees, Oceanside 72, Alpine 69, and Borrego 86 degrees. These numbers in some locations have jumped, primarily in the deserts, 5 degrees warmer, Alpine already 3 degrees warmer. This is going to calm down a little bit into the morning hours. Temperatures are going to stay fairly flat. What you saw for this morning you're going to continue to see for tomorrow morning as well. Winds today up to 15 miles per hour. Right now about 10 along the coast and inland communities. So a light breeze forecasted yet again at least through about Friday afternoon, where we could see things 10 to 15 miles per hour for the coast and inland locations as we have this area of high pressure still to our south and west. You can see that clockwise flow. So currently pulling up our winds out of the southwest, and look what's there. Not a cloud in sight. So we have drier air coming on into place, and that's what's going to allow for plenty of sunshine. Temperatures as a result are warming. Once we get through about Saturday, though, you're able to see this plume of moisture right now stretching through Baja. That will then move on in, and we'll end up seeing a chance of rainfall. And there's another system further to the south, about 400 miles away from Cabo San Lucas. That one now looks like the spaghetti plots, and the models here think that it's going to get awfully close to Southern California. Some of them take it along the California-Arizona border, others take it out over toward the Pacific Ocean, but if you look at what's in the middle, of course, that's us. So something for us to watch for, still many days away. If it does affect us, it should be Sunday again. So Saturday, no matter what day, no matter what weekend rather, it looks to be the best. Maybe if you are heading out to Art Walk San Diego, the beginning of the weekend will look a little bit better than the end. Temperature-wise though, before we get that moisture in place, we're going to be dealing with seasonal air. Waking up into the upper 60s for the coastline, the lower 70s for inland areas, and by the afternoon, bring your sunglasses with you. The mid-80s for inland locations, although I do think your high temperatures are going to be in the 90s. The coastline, the mid to upper 70s downtown, getting close to the 80-degree mark. And evening plans at 7 o'clock, 71 degrees in Chula Vista. It is absolutely delightful. 7-day forecast showing you really enjoy your Friday and Saturday, because we're going to switch things up for you on Sunday. We introduce the chance of scattered storms. It's also going to pick up our winds. Very muggy air coming our way all the way through Tuesday. Inland 92 degrees. You also have that chance of rain Sunday and Monday. Temperatures falling into the upper 80s, but it's going to feel like the 90s because of the humidity. And then don't forget that next chance of rain possibly by next Sunday. Mountains 90 degrees tomorrow, in the deserts 109. That's a look at your 7-day forecast. Jim, back to you.
All right, it all sounds pretty good, and I hope we do get a lot of rain.
A lot of people want it. Then you don't have to water your lawn.
That's right. All right. Sabrina, thank you very much. With her no-nonsense attitude, Judge Judy, the highest paid TV star. Find out just how much money she makes and who came in second on the list. Kanye West is spilling his guts to his mother-in-law, Kris Jenner, about how much he loves his newborn daughter, North, and the mother of his child, Kim Kardashian.
she's my joy, and she brought my new joy into the world. And there's no paparazzi, and there's no blog comment, and there's nothing that, is going to take that joy from me.
36-year-old rapper recently came clean during a taping of Jenner's talk show Chris on a wide range of topics, including that after his own mother died, he was willing to put his life at risk. But now that he has his own family, he has a world to live for. The hour-long interview with Jenner will air Friday during the show's season finale. It might be a little hard to believe, but Judge Judy is the highest paid person on television.
You have to be a nice person in addition to be nice looking, Mr. Price. Because if you're not a nice person, like Bird is, like I am, you end up being a loser.
Well, she must be a very nice person. The TV judge, known for her tough-as-nails attitude, rakes in $47 million a year. That's because her syndicated show generates more than $200 million in ad revenue a year, but it costs only $10 million to make. From her salary, the information comes from the recent TV Guide list of highest earning stars. The second highest overall earner is Jon Stewart of The Daily Show, who makes between $25 and $30 million a year. An ill-advised tweet from Dr. Phil creating a lot of discussion, but not in the way that he intended it to. This is the since-deleted tweet. It reads, "If a girl is drunk, is it okay to have sex with her? Reply yes or no at Dr. Phil, #teens_accused." The tweet was instantly mocked and ridiculed and quickly taken down. A statement from the show says that the tweet was part of a poll question for a serious upcoming episode and not intended to be a joke or a personal statement. When we come back, tight parking spot, not a problem. A car that can fold into itself. Coming up, where this little roadster is being built. Let's check out this new car. It looks like something out of the Jetsons cartoon. It's being worked on in Korea. It is a car that can fold onto itself. The car is called the Armadillo T due to the way that it looks.
Once the stabilizing wheels come down, the driver is able to use their smartphone to get the back half to swing right on top of the front. The idea is that stabilizing wheels could eventually be functional enough to allow the driver to remotely move the folded car into small parking lots.
It's a great idea. Where parking's tight.
I mean, it was always a great idea when the Jetsons began, I don't know when, in the 80s?
The Jetsons are way ahead of the curve. All right, want to remind you, of course, tomorrow the City Council at 1 o'clock is going to take up this issue of this tentative agreement with Mayor Bob Filner. We're going to be here as well early in the afternoon, and if something breaks, we're going to come on the air for you. So keep it right here on Channel 6, and we will keep you up to date. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.
Good night.